I put together a Sherwin-Williams color palette that you can use on your next project or in your own home if you wanted to. And this palette features a color called Westhighland White that we recently talked about on our channel. On the Paint People, we make our palettes in pyramid fashion, a top-down approach to putting colors together. And it all starts off right up top with our main color. This is going to be the choice that you can use probably in the majority of your home if you wanted to. It's the go-to neutral that's going to work in most cases. And in this palette, we have Radiant Dawn as the main color to start things off. ThePaintPeople.com is your go-to destination for quality paint and paint supplies. We're more than just a paint store, we are your partner in bringing color to life. Our commitment to fast shipping ensures that your order will reach you promptly so you can start your project without unnecessary waiting. Visit our website today and discover a world of colors, quality, and convenience. And as a thank you for supporting us on YouTube, use coupon code JAMES5 for 5% off your order. This is a color that's going to be light, airy, beautiful, warm, and vibrant. And what's nice about it is it does have a little bit of a yellow undertone, but it is softened with maybe a touch of orange to give it a really creamy feel. And it feels kind of upscale to me for some reason. Not super yellowy where it looks a bit sickly. I find this color to be extremely classic, yet still sophisticated and pretty wonderful, honestly. So Radiant Dawn, your main color, think of it going everywhere first, and then now you can see the next colors to sort of change things up if you so please. The first place you probably want to change up is on your baseboards, your doors, and your frames. We're going down from our main color to our two support colors, starting with, you guessed it, Westhighland White. The color that we talked about earlier, this is going to be my choice in the palette for your trim and door color, or anything you want painted white, which typically happens in most houses. Either you have crown molding or even ceilings, you need a white paint, and the one that I really like to go with our main color is this color. Westhighland White has just a hint of that same sort of creaminess, but it is a lot brighter with an 86 light reflectance value. That means it's reflecting 86% of the light that hits it, which is quite a bit. So a really crisp white, enough of a brightness difference with your main color to allow it to pop more, to separate itself a bit, but still kind of giving it a nice classic sort of subtle, soft feeling to it. You're not going super vibrant, super bluish white here. This one does sort of fit that whole light creamy feel that Radiant Dawn brings you. Now our second support color is quite a bit darker, and that's because this is going to be a choice for an alternative wall color that isn't so much an accent color. It's just kind of, a little more rich than Radiant Dawn. And the one that I decided to go with is actually quite a bit different temperature-wise too. It's Silver Strand. This color has a 59 LRV, about 15 points darker than Radiant Dawn, I would say, and then 27 points darker than Westhighland White. So a bit of a step towards the mid-tone side of things. And more importantly, Silver Strand has this beautiful, slightly cool gray-green that definitely differentiates it from the other two. I would still say it's fairly neutral because it does have that dusty grayed out quality to it. So it will fit alongside Radiant Dawn in kind of a nice sort of semi-polarizing way that I enjoy. So it's not one that I would necessarily mix so much in the same space because they are a little complementary. They do have this warm and cool sort of back and forth, which I think works wonderful in sectioned off spaces. So maybe in an office, you can put Silver Strand, and then the hallway, you can put Radiant Dawn, or you could incorporate them two together, but I would maybe have not like a 50-50 mix. I would perhaps do an 80-20 mix just to keep things a little more coherent and focused, I would say. But I think Silver Strand is the more interesting choice as that secondary wall color because it's not as predictable. It's not just doubling down on the yellow and the warmth that Radiant Dawn brings and Westhighland White already kind of brings. This gives you something a bit more fresh, which I think is nice. Okay, so main color out of the way, secondary support colors are all set. Now we're getting to the fun stuff, the finishing colors. These are going to be your accent choices for the areas that you really want to spice things up. Maybe the main color's not doing it for you in a specific room and Silver Strand is just a bit too different. Well, guess what? We have three options that are really rich and full of depth I think you'll really enjoy. Start things off, we have Functional Gray, which is a little more taupe than gray, much more of a chocolatey brown undertone that makes it very nice and interesting. Kind of this clay feeling that I think is really natural. Like it doesn't feel like a fake made in a lab color. There is an earthy quality that I really do gravitate towards. Kind of a mushroom soup sort of feel. Any Campbell's fans watching? Holla if you hear me. But we have a 37 LRV here, so another step towards that darker, rich color that I think some people really need, especially in areas that maybe get a lot of light, so you need a color that can sort of stand up to it a bit and not feel kind of blah and just lifeless. And also functional gray, it is kind of a neutral. So it's still going to be able to coexist in different design styles and aesthetics. And I think it's going to be one that you can use a decent amount of versatility, which I think is important. Next up, we have Roycroft Pewter, which is a lot darker at a 13 LRV, and also getting back to that sort of coolness that Silver Strand brought. Roycroft Pewter, I feel, is more of a dark slate gray that does favor the blue side of things a little more than that cool green side. So you're getting a little bit of variety, but still sort of adjacent to that secondary color we talked about earlier, which I think also gives you some flexibility. Now, if you incorporate this with Radiant Dawn, the main color, then you really have fun with that back and forth between dark and light, warm and cool. So there is some continuity there with how you can put these colors together, whether you have the cool colors stick together and then the warm colors stick together, or mix and match it in interesting ways. I think there's a lot of fun you can have here. Roycroft Pewter is also part of the historic color collection by Sherwin-Williams, and so is our third finishing color, which is Roycroft Rose. Now here is kind of the fun accent color for me. It's the one that brings a lot more vibrancy. It's also a bit lighter. It has a 33 LRV, so still definitely a darker mid-tone color, but it does feel more energetic because of that beautiful coral aspect. Kind of a base of this dusty red, touch of orange to give you that little kiss of energy that I think is really nice. And I just love how this is incorporated with Roycroft Pewter specifically, but all the other colors, there is a really nice dynamic that this option has if you want to have a bit of fun. If you want to have a fun powder room color, or maybe just a piece of furniture that you want to just pop this color in, or even within your accessories, so not necessarily painted on the wall, literally. You can have it in other ways. I think it just breaks up some of the neutrality that this palette brings, and I think it really brings everything together. Speaking of which, here's the palette all together. Let me know what you think, and if you want your own custom palette pyramid done by moi, we do offer it as a service, so you can reach out down below and I can give you all the information you need. As for more video content, right over here.